it rains, the worms come out. The reason they come out when they rain is if it does come out that's not the reason it comes out, but they come out when it rains because basically there are no animals that come out when it rains to get them. So they come out when it rains, and then probably it takes them a long time to get back. And so it took them and they were so hot that they just stopped, and so we had to carry them back into a shadier place. And we had to give them.
I'm looking for race.
No, we didn't. Not all of them.
I know why they went out, because they collect slime by having water all over them.
Yeah.
So I think they went out to the blacktop because they thought that's where it would rain the most. So they wanted to collect more slime. They stayed there so long till morning that they collected too much sun and they dried up.
Well, I kind of wanted to say something to Lucas because I don't exactly agree because worms
how would they even collect any slime?
No, because what happens is raindrops. It fills the holes that they make in water, so it's so big. There's so much water in the holes. So if they're in there and they can survive in water, if they're in there, then they could have gotten just enough slime.
Oh. So let's hear from Fiona.
Emerson.
Why I think the worms came out is because they like the rain, and they came out, and they whittled onto the blacktop, and they whittled everywhere on the blacktop, and they were starting to sunrise, and they were whittling back, and some of them made it, but some of them couldn't find their way back to their holes and got stuck.
They got stuck on the blacktop. I saw Lorenzo's here.
I think why they went on the blacktop. When it rained is because rain's like moisture, and it's like out of the grass that keeps them keeps them dry.
I think why they came up because I think the rain will fill their holes up, and they didn't want to be exactly flooded forever, but down in there for all the rain time, so they came up.
Tom, do you have those?
I just don't. Because they could survive in water, and so why would you come out? But because they might it might rain so much that they might go down in there for too much of a time. But water each time a drip of water touches ground, it'll evaporate into the ground. So I think
it'll evaporate, Tom?
Yeah.
What about all those puddles that we ran through when we were running laps?
Well, that's something where what I'm guessing is because sometimes there's a place where people really they slide the shoes and they really stomp on it hard. It'll harden up the dirt, so it takes more time. But it'll definitely happen because the more it gets muddier, the easier it can evaporate.
I have a question. A lot of us seem to think that the worm's skin is a way to help it breathe. If that's true, how would rain affect that? Tom, can I ask someone else to chime in? Think about that. If you're breathing through your skin and it's raining a lot, what do you think is happening, Lorenzo?
Time and space.
like the water would go inside you.
Tom, you're dying there. All right.
I think that they could, like, I think they could still survive because
Maybe they were going out to get a drink of water, and then they took so long, and then they took so long that they got dried up and they couldn't wiggle back to their hole.
Did you observe that they were dried up?
Well, when I felt it, it did feel as dry as my lips are whenever I have to put Aquaforce on them.
So Tom said evaporation, but now we're thinking it's absorption.
no, I think it's
But so you
now I
said
changed my mind about that.
Evaporation is going absorbing. It's like a sponge.
Raining is absorbing it down to the ground.
Yeah.
Well,
A sponge is something that absorbs water.
So, Lorenzo,
That's like a sponge.
are you saying that the ground will absorb the water when it rains?
Yeah.
So the ground is like a sponge when the water comes in. It absorbs.
So if it's absorbing all that water, then what do the worms do?
it goes.
If they're in the dirt.
Yeah, so they basically
The dirt.
they're drops of little drops that when they go through the tunnels, the drops will hit them.
The water.
And they'll keep going, so it'll keep them.
It's not that. The water gets spread out really far and it absorbs. When the dirt absorbs.
Luke, I noticed you've had your hand up for a while.
Well, Tom, actually, remember when we go back, like, they steam their holes and the water would just fill up? No,
Yeah.
it would evaporate.
No,
You said that. You said that too.
No, it wouldn't evaporate. What'll happen is, actually, it's the same thing. Well, yeah, it's kind of the same thing because if you hit dirt really hard, it'll harden it up. But what happens is, it takes like about a few days. And so what the worms do is they can get all they need from it, and then it's going to evaporate deeper into the ground.
So if there's all this water in the ground, put yourself in the worm's position, and there's lots and lots of absorption. Is there a point where it might be too wet for the worm?
Well, no, because they could survive it. They could survive in a pool.
No.
I mean,
they couldn't. Yeah, they couldn't.
They couldn't, Emerson?
No.
Why not?
They couldn't.
Why couldn't they, Emerson?
Because then that's too much water for them.
It's not.
Nolan has his hand up. Nolan, what are you thinking?
Well, worms are what they can survive and what they can't survive seems to be almost the exact opposite of what a human can survive. Humans can survive land, heat, and sun. A worm can mostly survive wetness, situations when you might drown, stuff like that. But
it can't survive heat.
No, it can't. And if you try to go underwater, you can't breathe. This is the same thing a worm when it goes in the sun. It breathes through its skin and collects oxygen through its skin.
But
Worms
if
die.
the oxygen is not moist enough, then because of the sun they can't breathe.
Well,
Going back to your they can't survive land because dirt is land, and the whole earth is kind of land. It's like earth.
yeah,
Land is
but
like
that's like tunneling under the soil. That's
Land is
not
kinda
really
like earth.
considered land. Land is like the top. This is the sun.
Oh,
this is
you're
land.
So like on
this is
top of the
soil.
ground rather than being in the ground.
because
Like
the
where-
ground, under where underground, it's more wet than on top of ground.
And their skin gets all crispy, so the oxygen can't get through. And then the worms die because they cannot breathe. And humans,
Hey, did you have something to say?
and it's kind of the same way with humans. Humans, you'll go underwater. When you hold your breath, you are breathing in a breath, and there is oxygen in that breath. We could survive on the same breath for years if you didn't breathe in oxygen and then breathe out carbon dioxide. So once you go in the water and you hold your breath, that breath turns into carbon dioxide.